Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com. Now before I begin with the questions, some of you have been asking me about this. For those of you that don't know, FormSpring is shutting down. Now what does this mean for NoDQ&A video? Is this the end of NoDQ&A video? No. NoDQ&A video will continue, obviously. What will happen is at the end of the month, I will have an announcement regarding a new location to submit questions. But until the end of the month, you can continue submitting questions, formspring.me/AaronRift, and I will try to get through as many of them as humanly possible. With that being said, let's get right down to the questions. First one today comes from bcrew16, a regular contributor. Hey Aaron, this may be my inner CM Punk fan speaking, but do you think that there is any chance Undertaker and CM Punk will close WrestleMania? I mean, Punk has closed out the last two Raws, and in my opinion, the build is much more enticing. I think it's all going to depend on what the finishes are. I think that on paper, your best bet is to close with Rock versus Cena because that is the biggest marquee match from a mainstream perspective. But if John Cena is going over clean, beating The Rock, staying babyface, there's the concern that fans are going to boo John Cena out of the building. And do you really want to end WrestleMania on that note? So it might be safer to close the show with Undertaker and CM Punk. But once again, it all depends on what the finish is for CM Punk versus Undertaker and John Cena versus The Rock. And who knows? I mean, if Brock Lesnar versus Triple H is going to be Hell in a Cell, or there's some crazy stipulation where the ownership of the company is going to be on the line, then WWE may want to close with that. But I think in likelihood it'll be Rock versus Cena closing unless they feel that Undertaker and Punk, they want to send the fans home happy. And at this point it's looking like Undertaker's going to win, especially with the whole Paul Bearer thing. So it might be better to do Undertaker and Punk closing the show. But at the end of the day, I think that the match that's going to have the most crowd heat and is going to send the fans home happy should be the final match of the show. Alright, this one comes from bhinder1. Hey Aaron, good show. Good show, not great show. What did you think about the 3/14/13 edition of TNA? I think it was a little more solid. The new live crowd made the show seem better, and the crowd seemed like they were invested in the product. Well, it was definitely a plus to be in a bigger arena, and TNA had a very good attendance for this show, and it looked really good. TNA looked more major league than they usually do. Now the question is, can they maintain it week after week? Can they continue drawing decent crowds? That's going to be the big test here to see just how people are into TNA, how much they're into it. We'll see if TNA can continue drawing solid crowds. But yeah, it definitely helped this show. And, I have no real complaints about this week's Impact. I think that Bully Ray was fine as the president of Aces and Eights, although he didn't really explain a whole lot. He just said, "I told you so, I've had you all fooled." But I guess there's going to be more to the story, and we'll just have to wait and see how the storyline plays out. But I mean, yeah, so far, so good for TNA. Alright, this one comes from 2Sexy316. What did you think about TNA doing really long storylines with like Aces and Eights and James Storm versus Bobby Roode? I'm all for long-term storylines as long as they make sense, and when you look back at it, you're not asking yourself, why did they do this, and this doesn't make any sense. The problem with Aces and Eights, as I mentioned in previous videos, is that Bully Ray was fighting them for 6 months and having all these matches with them, and if he was really in cahoots with them, logically he would avoid fighting them, and you would have seen more of this in the storyline. But TNA feels that in order to trick people, you really have to convince them that Bully Ray is not affiliated with them, so he has to fight them and all this. But I would prefer the storylines to make a little more sense. But I think it's if you have a set plan and it makes sense in the long run and it's going to be good for business, then I say do the long-term storylines. And it's definitely better than just changing things on a week-to-week basis, because it is easier to get emotionally invested in a character when you have a long-term storyline rather than changing things up every week and turning guys heel and turning them face every single week. That when that happens, it's hard to get emotionally invested into a character. So I like what I like the direction TNA is going in that regard, doing long-term storylines, but try to, logically figure everything out beforehand and let it play itself out that way. All right, this one comes from Little Dizzle 4000. Hey Aaron, big fan. Why is TNA theme music for their wrestlers sound so generic and plain? It ain't like TNA is cheap or broke. Why won't they invest in good music artists? I think small stuff like entrance themes can be a start to turn around the company. I completely agree with you on this. I think that this is something important. Some people might not think that entrance music is important, but yeah, I guess the guy that they have doing music for TNA, he's been doing it since the beginning, and I guess that he's the cheapest way to go, but I would like to see an improvement in TNA's theme music. There's a lot of little things TNA can do to tweak their product and make it better, and definitely the theme songs. You know, the problem with the theme songs they have now is it's hard to identify them with anybody. You know, a good theme song, right from the first note, you know who it is and you react to it. And just some of these songs, like Chavo Guerrero's theme, they're just completely generic. Anybody could have that theme song. I think James Storm's is okay because he says sorry about your damn luck at the beginning, so you instantly know that's him. So that theme is okay, but a lot of them, they're just so bland. Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, it goes on and on. Even Jeff Hardy's theme, I'm not crazy about it. And RVD's. None of those themes I think are very good. So I do think TNA could improve in that regard. And just a lot of other things that they could do as well. All right, this one comes from Canadian Player. Hey Aaron, do you see Matt Morgan getting a push for the TNA World title anytime soon? To be honest, I don't really see it happening. Matt Morgan has been a guy that they've pushed and not pushed. It's been going on for years now, and I think if he was going to get to that next level, it would have happened by now. I think that there's just something that he's missing. I don't know what it is, but when he comes out there, I feel like he's a big guy. He's tall, but he doesn't really bring a whole lot to the table. And, not knocking him or anything, but I just don't see it in him. And, he had that opportunity in WWE, and granted, they gave him that really stupid stuttering gimmick, and that pretty much ruined his chances in WWE. But you know what? If WWE really felt there was something in him, they would have kept him around. So, I mean, things could always change. Something could catch on with him. But as of right now, I don't see him getting a big push. Well, they could try pushing him, but I don't know if it's going to amount to anything. All right, this one comes from Ryan in San Pedro. Hey Aaron, with Triple H being in charge next to Vince, do you see Triple H making more drastic changes to the product, i.e. backstage promos, before matches, less comedy skits, more realism in storylines, actually making new stars, unifying the belts, PAIV? Please answer in video. Absolutely. I definitely see Triple H offering something different to the table and bringing some new ideas. I think the thing about Triple H compared to Vince McMahon is Triple H will be more in tune because he's younger than Vince. He'll be more familiar with what's popular in culture, and I think that that's important. Implementing things from pop culture and just knowing what society wants to see. I think that Triple H will be a lot better in that regard, and he's definitely making changes to the product already. Getting Bruno Sammartino into the Hall of Fame, and making WWE's wellness policy more legit. And protecting the wrestlers. And that really helps when you have somebody like Triple H who's a wrestler himself and knows what all the guys are going through. It's hard for Vince McMahon to identify with a lot of the wrestlers, but Triple H can. So there's certainly a lot of ways that Triple H, I think, will make improvements to the product. Now, we can all bash Vince for how he does business, but Vince McMahon made this empire. He's the reason we're all watching it. So you can complain about the backstage promos and the comedy skits, but Vince McMahon has done this stuff and has made it a huge success. So I don't think you're going to get rid of that stuff completely. All right, this one comes from Shoeman Kletsky. Hey Aaron, looking back, who do you think would have been a bigger star of the PG era? Randy Orton or CM Punk? If you could, please answer in video. Thanks. I think it's really hard to say right now because both guys still have years of their career left, and it's hard to say who will end up being seen as the bigger star overall. I think as of right now, When you look at it from a mainstream perspective, I think that Randy Orton would be the bigger star. Randy Orton next to John Cena is, I think, the most recognizable star of WWE right now. When you look at all the guys in today's roster, I think more people would recognize Randy Orton on the street than CM Punk, but that's just my opinion. But when you look at who the most diehard fans think is the bigger star, I think that obviously CM Punk is going to get the nod there. But like I said, both of those guys still have several years ahead of them, hopefully, and we'll just have to wait and see who goes down as the bigger star. Alright, that'll do it for this edition of No DQ&A video. Subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQ&AV. Tell a friend on Facebook or Twitter. Share this video. Keep spreading the word. I appreciate all the support from you guys. And I will see you this coming week for more No DQ&A video.